Hello there. Take a deep breath and think about a story you might have experienced, whether as a lover, friend, or colleague. It is the emotional battle with a man who is physically adult but completely psychologically immature. He might be smart, talented, even have a successful career. He might drive an expensive car and sign big contracts. But when faced with responsibility, conflict, or commitment, he acts like a 10-year-old boy. That's when he reacts to criticism with wounded pride, sulking, or complete withdrawal. That's when he always looks for a woman to mother him, doing his laundry, cooking, and managing his emotions. And here is the paradox. He craves love and respect, but continuously pushes away those capable of giving him those things with his very irresponsibility. We often look at man-children with frustration and judgment. Why can't they just grow up? Why are they so selfish? But the truth is, not that they don't want to mature. The truth is, something deep has frozen their emotional maturation process, and they are living in an unnamed fear. They are not bad people. They are stuck children. And today, we will look deep into the human behavioral psychology behind that closed door, with humanity and understanding. I want to tell you about David. David, at 32, is a talented designer. He lives with his girlfriend, Sarah, who always has to handle everything from bills to planning their vacations. Every time Sarah tries to discuss shared financial responsibilities or future plans, David immediately changes the subject or becomes passively aggressive, suddenly disappearing to play video games all night. When Sarah expresses her frustration, David says, "You're always nagging me. You sound just like my mother." Why is David so afraid of responsibility? David grew up in a family where his father was a failure. His father constantly complained about work, money, and responsibilities. His father taught David adulthood equals suffering. Adulthood equals disappointment. David's brain drew a survival lesson. If I don't take responsibility, I won't fail. If I don't grow up, I won't suffer like my father. David's childish behavior is not laziness. It is a deliberate avoidance of a role that has been linked to pain and disappointment. He is not a man. He is a soldier evading duty. Another story about Mark. Mark is a very charming man, but he constantly cancels dates or disappears from relationships as soon as they get too serious. He is always looking for thrills, fleeting connections. When a woman loves him and asks for commitment, Mark runs away. What is Mark's past? He was raised by an overly loving yet very suffocating mother. His mother did everything for him, solved every problem, and made him the center of the universe. Mark never had to handle discomfort on his own. He learned that love is endless service and gentle control. As an adult, commitment for Mark equals a loss of freedom, suffocation, and being controlled. He runs from serious relationships not because he doesn't want to love. He runs because he fears being emotionally swallowed whole. He doesn't know how to love as an equal. He only knows how to receive or run. Do you see yourself in David's or Mark's story? We run away. We avoid. We repeat. But why is maturity so scary? To understand the psychology of the man-child, we have to look at the concept of emotional arrest and the unintended consequence of parenting. Imagine growing up is a car on the road. For man-children, at some point in childhood or adolescence, an emergency brake was pulled. The emotional development process was frozen at a point where they couldn't handle the pressure or fear. Their defense mechanism is regression. When life gets too difficult, they revert to the emotional state of a child, where the need to be taken care of becomes the default response. And this is where science meets emotion. The man-child has an inability to process difficult emotions, also known as difficulty with distress tolerance. When they feel frustration, sadness, or fear, instead of activating the prefrontal cortex, planning, they activate the limbic system, immediate emotion, sulking. They don't know how to self-regulate their emotions. The mind is a map drawn with the fear of total responsibility. Now, let's turn inward. Can you recall the last time you wanted to do something big, but self-sabotaged it with procrastination or irresponsibility? You are feeling the burden of expectation. You have seen that growing up requires a perfection, an unbearable burden. Remember the last time you reacted impulsively, blaming others, or sulking when things didn't go your way. I want to remind you, you are not broken. You are only human, and your brain is just trying to protect you from the pain and pressure you have associated with becoming a perfect adult. Your childishness is a grave refusal of a world you find too harsh. I used to be like that too. For years, I thought if I admitted I didn't know how to do something, I would immediately be judged as a failure. And the easiest way to avoid that was to never try my best. Here was the breakthrough moment I want to share. The man-child is not afraid of becoming an adult. He is afraid of becoming the adult he was taught to be. You are not really afraid of change. You are just afraid of losing the safety of never having to confront the truth that you are capable of failing without anyone to blame. Childishness is an attempt to retain the right to make mistakes without severe consequences, a right he was never given as a child. And that's what took me years to realize. I wasn't afraid of freedom. I was afraid of the responsibility that came with it because I didn't believe I had the emotional tools to handle adult failures and conflicts. How do we help the man-child transition to maturity? Not by nagging or doing things for them, but by developing the missing emotional tools. First, practice accepting small discomforts. The goal is not to solve the problem, the goal is to tolerate the uncomfortable feeling for 5 minutes. When feeling like sulking instead of withdrawing, sit still and name that feeling. I am feeling hurt and frustrated. Tolerate the discomfort when Sarah talks about bills instead of avoiding. Just say, I hear you. Thank you for sharing. I need 5 minutes to think about this. This is how you build the distress tolerance muscle. Second, small step responsibility. Maturity must be taken little by little. Start with responsibilities that only affect yourself. Manage personal finances. Schedule gym time. Learn a new skill alone. Every time you succeed, you are sending a new signal to the subconscious. Responsibility brings freedom, not suffering. Third, self-forgiveness for your repetitions. You will have days when you revert to the sulking mode. When that happens, say, I see the inner child is panicking. Thank you for trying to protect me. But now I am the adult and I will take responsibility for this behavior. Then, take responsibility, that is, apologize, without blaming. Healing is not about never making mistakes. Healing is reducing the time you spend in regression and increasing the time you spend in acceptance. We have looked deeply into why some men are stuck in childhood. They are not weak. They are people who froze themselves to survive. And here is the last thing I want you to remember. True maturity is not about how many things you can buy. It is about how many emotions you can process. And perhaps understanding human behavior is not about fixing someone, but to realize that we never needed to be perfect to be respected, just enough awake to take responsibility for our emotions and allow ourselves to mature, even if it hurts. Be gentle with yourself during the process of learning to become a complete adult. Responsibility is a gift. Thank you.